Hey everybody, welcome to Challenged Athletes Live. My name is Bob Babbitt. Our next guest, seriously one of the greatest athletes on the planet, 37 wins at XTERRA, one world title, and a gold and silver in the Paralympics. My next guest, the amazing Jamie Whitmore. Jamie, how the heck you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
And you've got the kiddies in the car?
I do. We're full force getting haircuts finally today, then going to the lake to do some stand-up paddle boarding, and so we got a full schedule.
I love it. So, Jamie, we've chatted about this a lot. You were seriously one of the best athletes in the planet and won 37 titles in XTERRA, which is, for people who don't know, it's off-road triathlon. So way more brutal than regular triathlon. You know, swim, mountain bike, run, and these mountain bike events are never flat, right? These are up at the Flume Trail. You're in Maui going way ridiculous uphills and scary stuff. What made you good at that? Because you started out as a swimmer and then became a runner and then became a mountain biker. What was it about XTERRA that was good for you?
I think just how I don't know. I think it was a little bit of a combination of everything. I didn't totally suck as a swimmer, and and I picked up mountain biking really well, and of course my background definitely was running. So when you put that whole package together, and then like you said, most of our climbs were most of our courses were on lots of climbs, which favored, probably the petite little athlete that I was, and still kind of am. and it was just gritty and talent definitely on like more technical courses. I was always pretty good at that because I used to do a lot of downhilling. So, it just kind of was my favor. Definitely the flatter courses were more challenging, and stuff like that. But Maui was the one that was the hardest for sure. That I don't know why that course did not like me.
Was it because of the heat, you think, or was it more just the I remember talking to Ned Overend and saying, that course just seems brutal, and he goes, "Oh no, it's a fire road. It's not hard at all." And I'm like,
exactly. No, it wasn't hard.
It wasn't hard enough for you, right? When you say gritty, you need gritty. You need climbing, and you need it to be nasty downhills and all that type of stuff, where this was almost like a freeway for you.
Correct. Exactly. Single track would have been better. Throw some roots, some rock drop offs, things like that. And that would have made it probably much more my style, much like how the Flume Trail was in Incline Village when we used to race there.
Yes.
That had everything, all kinds of technical stuff. And it did have some open stuff as well, but then the open stuff was like tons of climbing.
Right. That was the perfect course. That was a J-Dog course. So you're at the top of your game and you have a pain in the back of your leg. And being an athlete, you're thinking, I'm having cramp issues, it's something nutrition, it's something I pulled a muscle. Did it ever enter your mind it was something medical?
Not at all. I seriously thought, for some reason, maybe I wasn't feeling well that day. I didn't eat enough the day before. Or I had pushed too hard during a certain section, but it being anything that it really was the furthest from my mind. Because all of the symptoms were definitely mimicking something you would do if you had an overusage injury or if you had pulled something. I mean the symptoms were so in line with what you would get as an athlete that I had no idea. Whoops. I had no idea. Sorry about that.
That's right.
That months and months later that I would be told I had cancer.
And when the doctor said the C word, what was the first thing that went through your head?
I don't want to die. Over and over and over again. That's all I kept repeating. It was it's a hit or miss. You hear you have cancer and you're either going to survive it and beat it or you're not.
And when they do the operation to basically, you had a tumor wrapped around your sciatic nerve, and you knew when this was cut that you wouldn't be able to run again. You would end up with drop foot. Or did they tell you that for sure, or they didn't know?
So it was really weird. Nobody told me what they did. So everybody that was in the waiting room, which was like 14 people making sure I came out of surgery okay, they went out and told them what happened. They said, we had to cut the nerve. She's never going to run again. She's going to walk funny, or, you know, have issues with walking. And so they all knew this, but for me, I didn't. It took days for me to kind of figure out, hey, I can't feel my foot. And as the physical therapist came in and was like, I'm here to teach you to walk again. And then it was a friend who was kind of instrumental in me getting into that hospital that said, you know, no, you have drop foot. But that was like, seriously, like 5 days after surgery that he had told me this. And I was like, what is drop foot? And he's like, basically, you have no sciatic nerve. So, you know, no, you're not going to run again. And then the question was, the nerve doctor that had operated on me had said, well, you'll never ride anything more than a stationary bike. And that's when, you know, kind of as I was learning to walk, I was like, okay, I understand why I'm never going to run again, but how can you say I'm not going to ride a bike? And that's where I was just like, no, you're crazy. I'll ride a bike again.
So we had a discussion after you came out, and actually even when you were in the hospital, talking to Courtney at the time. And at the time it was, listen, Jamie needs something. And we work with these challenge athletes, and there's a thing called the Paralympics, which I'm sure Jamie has never heard of. When you came out of the hospital and all of a sudden there was something called the Paralympics and there was another goal, how important did that become to you?
Oh, it became huge. It was like this whole second chance at a career. And the more that I learned about paracycling, because I knew I had paraswimming or paracycling. It was one of those two.
It wasn't going to be para running.
Correct. It wasn't going to be para track and field.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, you know, even then I guess I could have done the race chair, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
But naturally the bike was what I was very determined to ride. So that was kind of what dictated where I went. And it was just like, as I started learning more, as I got invited to nationals and as I became part of the team, it was so exciting and so thrilling, because it very much paralleled the start of my XTERRA career, where I was trying to kind of put everything together to become the best XTERRA athlete that existed. And it was just the same for this. I was putting together, okay, you're disabled and now you're riding a bike and it's not going to be the same. And you're trying to put all of that together, meanwhile pursuing, you know, getting to the Paralympics. And so it was the same and yet different.
So you're going along, you're training well, then all of a sudden you get sick again and you don't know what the hell's going on, right? And all of the kids in the back seat, that was sort of what was going on. Did you have any sense that you were pregnant?
No, I seriously, because so my cancer had come back once, and then I got really sick from sepsis. And so I think it was almost 9 months after, no, it was a little over a year from my first surgery that, I started getting sick again, but it was less than a year since the second cancer surgery. So it was one of those, like, I was like, oh snap, I've got, you know, the cancer's back again. Honestly, that is absolutely where my mind went. Or because I had just had surgery again for the third time to move my kidney to a different spot, I thought, well, maybe my body's rejecting my own kidney. But being pregnant was like farthest from my mind. And then finding out that I had twins was like one of those, are you kidding me? I'm never going to race again. I'm never going to get back on a bike because all this stuff keeps happening. Just cut me some slack, please.
So then you do go to Rio. You make the team, you go to Rio. I was there at the velodrome when you win the silver medal, which was awesome. But then the gold medal in the road race. Talk a little bit about the fact that you're, you know, as a little kid, your whole dream as a little girl watching TV, watching the Olympics on TV was, I want to get there. And you had, you know, you ran in high school and you found mountain biking and then you found XTERRA, and XTERRA wasn't going to be in the Olympics. Now you're in the equivalent of the Olympics, the Paralympics, and you win in a sprint finish, you win the gold medal, and you're going to go up on the podium after something sort of like you're reliving this goal you had since you were like 4 or 5 years old. How special was that?
You know, it's crazy because I was just thinking about this on my training ride today, being that it's like Olympic Paralympic Day.
Yes.
And seriously, in my mind, I was absolutely reliving that moment of crossing that finish line and knowing that I had just edged out the two other gals that we had gone into the sprint. And then being on the podium was like the most incredible experience, to know that the American flag was being raised, you know, at what I had just accomplished. And then the national anthem was being played. And it was such an emotional moment, because sport is the time that we all come together. It's nothing other than you representing your country in a time where it doesn't matter what else is going on in the world. It's like we're all there for a common goal of being the best athlete that we can be and represent the country, you know, that we're representing. And so you have all of those emotions of like, I'm here for the USA. And then I'm seeing my dad who has been like my biggest supporter and cheerleader and like best friend my entire life, who like, I saw him cry when I got sick. And you know, he was just as scared as I was that he was going to lose me. And he was there getting to see all of this. He was the one that rode bikes next to me while I ran in high school and watched every race and was my first sponsor. And when I didn't have money, was giving me money so I could keep pursuing this crazy dream. So to be able to share that with him, and then my kids who were the miracle through all this cancer, you know, to have them be lifted over the fence and get to stand next to some federales because they wanted them to be able to see me. I mean, it was just like the most incredible. It was just like, people didn't think I was ever going to return to sport, and I did. And so it was like, look at that. And then my faith that God, you know, had been there all this time and had blessed me and given me the second career. It was, there will never, ever be another moment like that first moment that you get a gold medal. Like I firmly believe that.
And in terms of, are you thinking you're planning to go 2020, right? You're going back.
I was planning, and I still am. Like, I definitely still have that dream. And, you know, I'm not getting younger, but I think there's still that to prove that you can be, because I'll now be 45 going into next year, that, you know, going up against 20-year-olds. So, and there are some older gals in my category too. There's one that's older than me, so it gives me hope because she is fast. But just like I saw in XTERRA, the competition constantly gets stronger, which pushes you and it makes it harder. But my end goal is always being the best that I can be.
Love it. Okay, going to rapid fire. Best CAF memory.
Ooh, you know, the first time I rode it with Brandon, who's in a hand cycle, because he was so new to cycling. And when I first rode with him, he couldn't even hang with me. And I thought, how the heck is this guy on a hand cycle gonna make it 7 days of riding? And
$1 million challenge.
Yes, the $1 million challenge. So riding that with him, and Dean, who is one of the co-chairs, to this day is still one of my most favorite CAF memories ever. Love it.
Okay, go-to comfort food.
White chocolate mochas. I'm an upper.
You are an upper. What go-to technology? What do you use?
TV, like Netflix. Whenever we're traveling for races and stuff, I always go to Netflix.
Favorite book or podcast?
Wings of Fire.
Ooh. Favorite words to hear from a coach?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, Neil, whenever Neil compliments me on anything, like you had a good effort today, I know, because he's not a fluffer. He won't tell me it was a good effort unless it really was.
Least favorite words to hear from Neil?
You can do better next time.
That's like the backhanded compliment. It was like,
exactly.
Oh, that really sucked, is what he's saying in real life.
That's how I perceive it.
What do you think about you has made you successful?
I think finding the silver lining in everything, always being able to find a positive, no matter how negative something is. That just, like, even if it's the smallest, tiniest millimeter of a silver lining, like, I'm gonna find it. And I think that's just something that's carried me through some dark and hard times.
What was that lowest moment, and how did you get past it?
Man, there's been so many.
I know.
I think finding out that I had cancer a second time, and the process, like right when I was starting to get sepsis, like I was just so sick from that. I thought I was sick from cancer, and sepsis is no joke. Like it just knocks you on your butt, and you have no energy, and you can't eat. And I was just slowly withering away, losing weight left and right, and just in the hospital, and seeing everyone else freaked out. I was close to death. And so, but being positive, thinking like, I've already survived cancer twice. Come on, I can beat sepsis.
Yeah. So for a lot of our challenge athletes who have been, they may play wheelchair basketball, quad rugby, things like that. This time through this whole COVID thing, they haven't been able to be with their teammates. They haven't been able to play the sport that sort of identifies them. What's your message to them?
It's like trying something different. There's other stuff that's out there. And so, maybe you can't throw the ball around, but maybe you can go out and cycle. Maybe you can get on a race chair and do something along those lines. I know because even though cycling is such a solo sport, you still kind of get tired of like, I have no one to ride with today. I have no camps to go to. I have no races to look forward to. And sometimes that's your motivation. So my son, Ryder, and I began this competition of something that I've always sucked at, which is pull-ups. Like I straight suck at pull-ups. And so my goal was I wanted to get to a point where I could do 10 pull-ups. And so Ryder and I started where I could only do 6, and I do like 6, 5, 4. Then it became 3 sets of 6. Then I was able to do 8. And now yesterday I did 3 sets of 10 and a set of 8. And by the way, Ryder smokes me and has done 20 sets of 10, 200 pull-ups.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
Hey.
He's nuts.
So XTERRA World Championship, which you won one time, and that was something that you wanted so badly. Paralympic gold medal. What meant more to you?
Oh, they're so different. That's not fair. The XTERRA one was my first world championship ever, so that has a special place. But the gold, the Paralympic gold, like that was something that so much had been overcome to get that was kind of one of those things that Jamie's not done. That was my like the comeback story. So
yes, it was.
That definitely is just a special that holds a special place for sure. And just the whole experience is something that Worlds happens every year, but the Paralympics happens every 4. So that definitely was a long-awaited accomplishment for sure.
Love it. Jamie, thank you so much for being such a great representative of CAF. We love having you part of the CAF family.
Thank you. It's such an honor and privilege to be a part of it. And I am so thankful for all of the people that have paved the way. And I hope that I can continue to help others find their way through sports.
Love it. Jamie Whitmore has been our guest. This is Challenge Athletes Live. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.